Hello, and how are you, my friends? I'm Peter, and here I'm telling you stories about the most interesting European cars of the 80s and 90s. Today we are talking about controversially looking but very successful Jaguar car, the Jaguar S-Type. By the way, if you are not subscribed to my channel yet, subscribe! The Jaguar S-Type was produced from 1999, which technically makes it a car of the 90s, to 2007. In total, about 290,000 cars were produced, and that was not bad at all for an expensive executive car, but a little below expectations and way below the 5 Series BMW and Mercedes-Benz E-Class, which were the direct competitors of the S-Type. In the 90s, Jaguar produced only large sedans Jaguar XJ, which I have not one but two videos about, and sport coupes XJS and later the XK8. Jaguar wanted to add a smaller but still luxurious sedan to its product line for a long time, and such a car was in development in the 80s. But with many financial struggles of the company, that development was never completed. But then, in 1989, the company was bought out by Ford, and the new owner soon decided to expand the model line of Jaguar by adding a direct competitor to mid-sized German executive sedans. As a global company, Ford based the new development on an international platform, which Jaguar shared with the Lincoln LS and another retro revival of Ford, the Ford Thunderbird. The name S-Type was an homage to an old and already legendary Jaguar S-Type produced between 1963 and 1968. Despite American roots of the platform and German DNA of its six-cylinder engines, the S-Type was designed, developed and produced in the United Kingdom. The chief designer was Geoff Lawson, who was responsible for all Jaguar cars in the 80s and 90s, including the XJ and XJ220. The appearance of the front part of the car resembled the look of the old Jaguar S-Type of the 60s, with its four separate round headlights and a vertical shield-shaped front grille. And the roundish shapes of other parts of the car also reminded of the 1960s. That retro-modern look was in line with the revivalist design trend of the end of the 90s that gave us the new Mini Cooper, the Volkswagen New Beetle, the Chrysler PT Cruiser, already mentioned Ford Thunderbird, and the closest direct rival of the S-Type, the Rover 75. The appearance of the car was maybe a little unusual and controversial, but definitely unique, distinctive and memorable. The S-Type looked like nothing else on the road. And actually, that design aged very well, and the car looks nice and contemporary even today. I have a personal unconfirmed theory that the idea of the appearance of the S-Type could be indirectly inspired by the British TV series Inspector Morse, very popular and even iconic in the 90s. The protagonist of the series, obviously Inspector Morse, drove a Jaguar Mark II with a similar appearance, which the original S-Type was based on. Anyway, Ford and Jaguar were proud of the design and called the S-Type beyond beautiful in its TV commercial, whatever this means. The car was introduced to the public at the Birmingham International Motor Show on October 20, 1998, and the sales started in January of 1999. The exterior, and particularly the interior, were updated in 2003 and 2004 under the supervision of another iconic designer, Ian Callum. Like the XJ, the S-Type was available as a four-door sedan only, and only with the rear-wheel drive. It was 8 inch or 21 cm shorter than the XJ, but the wheelbase of the S-Type was actually 1.5 inches or 4 cm longer than in the XJ. So the S-Type had almost the same space of the passenger cabin as a larger and more expensive XJ. With Ford's generous investments in new tooling, quality control and production processes, the quality of Jaguars significantly improved. I'm a little skeptical about the building quality of Jaguars and all British cars in the 80s by many reasons. But in the 90s and 2000s, the situation improved significantly. So, despite some inherited negative reputation, the S-Type was a well-built and quality car. It had some minor issues, but nothing more than you could face with any other car of its time. There was a period of transition into a new electronic era. And many new electronic features and sensors in all European and American cars were still far from perfection. The mechanical part of the S-Type didn't raise any major concerns, but the rust could be an issue. Well, frankly speaking, it may be a huge problem in cars driven in wet and cold climates. So, if you are buying a 20-year-old Jaguar now, pay particular attention to its door sills, floors, fenders, and wheel arches. Inside, the Jaguar S-Type was spacious and luxurious enough to compete with the German rivals, and even with its own bigger brother XJ. The car was full of leather, wood, and most modern features for its time, including optional built-in satellite navigation. From the start, the S-Type had a retro-looking U-shaped center console. It was replaced at the restyling of 2004 with a more modern-looking and, frankly, nicer one. The materials used in the interior were good, but not high-end ones. Some of them, particularly plastic parts borrowed from other Ford cars, were cheaper than you may expect from a luxury car. And the leather on the seats was not particularly long-lasting. Some owners complained about non-ideal assembling quality of the interior, which brought excessive creaking and rattling into the cabin. But the materials and assembly became better after the facelift. The spacious interior of the S-Type stole some customers from the XJ, because the higher price of the elder model was difficult to justify sometimes, considering that the cheaper S-Type had the same internal room, same engines, at least some of them, and more modern features. Among them, dual-zone climate control, navigation, a trip computer, heated seats, a CD changer, and even optional voice-activated control of car systems. Seats and windows were all electric, even in the basic trim levels. And by the way, the seats were comfortable with good side support. Although I'm a different opinion on their comfort in long trips. Some like them and some don't. Well, maybe it depends on the individual specifics of the driver's body. Anyway, the S-Type was a comfortable car. It was one of the most spacious Jaguars for a driver ever, and it provided a friendly place to be in. The rear row of seats was comfortable too, but tall passengers could be a little disappointed with the legroom and headroom. The sound insulation provided good noise reduction, and the suspension was on the softer side, which ensured relaxed and comfortable travels. The S-Type, unlike the XJ, didn't have an air suspension, but its shocks and springs still were good ones. The trunk was large, but a little shallow. Enough room for groceries or golf bags, but maybe not for large suitcases. But you could get a lot of spare cargo space by folding the backs of the rear seats, an option that wasn't available in the XJ. So, the S-Type was comfortable and convenient enough both for long travels and everyday driving, be that sitting in downtown traffic jams or exploring the treasures of luxury malls. The S-Type had 4 gasoline engines and 1 diesel. The entry-level engine was a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter V6 engine, which was a revised version of the Ford Duratec engine, used in several Ford and Mazda cars. That engine was actually first developed by Porsche, and had a lot of technical resemblance to the V8 engine of the Porsche 928, which I have another video about. In the S-Type, that engine produced 194 horsepower and could bring the car to the top speed of 228 kilometers or 142 miles per hour, with 0 to 60 miles per hour in 8.6 seconds with the manual gearbox or 9.9 seconds with the automatic one. The second V8 engine, also based on the Duratec technology, had a 3-liter displacement. The S-Type shared it with the bigger XJ and Lincoln LS, and later with the smaller Jaguar X-Type. In the S-Type, it had the power output of 241 horsepower, a top speed of 250 km or 155 miles per hour, and 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds. The next V6 engine was a completely different one. First of all, because it was a diesel engine with a 2.7-liter displacement and not one, but 2 turbochargers. It was co-developed by Ford together with the PSA Group and had been used in a variety of Ford, Jaguar, Land Rover, Peugeot and Citroen cars from 2004 until today. In the S-Type, it produced 201 horsepower with an abrasive torque of 435 Nm or 321 foot-pounds, and brought the car to the top speed of 230 km or 143 miles per hour with 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds. That was really cool for a diesel engine. It provided almost the same driving dynamics as gasoline ones, but with much better fuel efficiency of 35 miles per gallon. And 2 other gasoline engines had the V8 cylinder arrangement. The first one was a naturally aspirated 4-liter engine with 282 horses a top speed of 227 km or 141 miles per hour, and 0 to 60 in 6.3 or 6.6 seconds depending on the transmission. And the largest V8 engine had a 4.2-liter displacement. It was available in two variants. The naturally aspirated version provided 282 horsepower with a top speed of 250 km or 155 miles per hour, with 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds. But this engine also had a hand-built supercharged version, which was installed on the high-performance Jaguar S-Type R. That beast produced 389 horny ponies with 0 to 60 in just 5.5 seconds, which was really impressive for a relatively heavy car. Its top speed was limited at 250 km or 155 miles per hour. In addition to the supercharger, the R version was equipped with a sportive adaptive suspension and had many small design and engineering upgrades, making it a very capable car and a good competitor to the BMW M5 or Audi S6. All engines were in general good, reliable and long-lasting machines, and some of them are known for ability to run up to 500,000 miles and more if maintained properly. Transmission options depended on the engine. Smaller gasoline engines were paired with 5-speed manual and 5-speed automatic transmissions, which was later replaced with a 6-speed automatic one. Diesel cars could have a 6-speed manual or also 6-speed automatic gearbox. And the only option for V8 engines was a 6-speed automatic transmission. On the road, the Jaguar S-Type provided its driver with a very smooth ride. It was comfortable but didn't feel very sporty despite powerful engines, except for the R version. At the same time, it wasn't a sloppy or too soft car. No, the handling was very good, predictable in the good meaning, and enjoyable, just not very sporty. The S-Type had a well-engineered suspension with double wishbones all around, like in the Mazda Miata. And like in the Miata, it had great, almost 50-50 weight distribution. The steering was light but provided good response and precision. At active driving on curvy roads, the natural tendency of powerful rear-wheel drive cars to oversteer was perfectly compensated by the slight understeer of the front part due to heavy engines. And if the driver made a mistake, the traction control system was always ready to help and supply a lot of traction. And if we add really good brakes into the equation, we get a very pleasant car. Maybe not the perfect driving machine like BMW, but a comfortable, enjoyable, safe and aristocratic executive sedan, and stylish on top of that. In 2007, the S-Type was replaced by the new Jaguar XF. Well, it had a completely new look, but under the skin it was the same S-Type, with the same platform and tech, and mostly the same engines. So the legacy of the S-Type was on the production line until 2015.
The S-Type was a car that brought Jaguar into the new millennium and into a completely new production era. The symbiosis of its retro-inspired look, progressive engineering, and ultra-modern functions was the best symbol of the transition of the brand into a new stage of its existence. And it was made with a great respect to the tradition of the brand and expectations of its customers, something that Jaguar lacks today with its new, unexpected, and uninvited transitioning. Honestly, I cannot say that the original style of the S-Type appeals to me personally very much, but no matter what I think of its look, the S-Type was a really good, capable, and high-quality car, and it was actually better than many people think of it. I believe that it was a little underestimated and underloved car, but it was a good one. Definitely a future classics.
About 40% of S-Types were sold in the United States, so if you want to buy one here, you will find one locally. Just watch for rust and don't get a very cheap project car with many issues. Parts and repairs may be expensive, especially for the R version. But if you see a car in a good condition for reasonable money, that's a very good option, because the S-Type hasn't jumped in value yet, like its German rivals of the same age. In the US, the price for a running S-Type may start now from $3,000 and even less, and go up to $11,000 for regular cars and up to $16,000 for the R version in good condition with low mileage.
And it's a steal considering everything that happened to the modern classic market recently. In Europe, prices are between 1,000 euros for high mileage cars and 20,000 euros for particularly good low mileage examples and S-Type R cars.
Well, thank you very much for watching. If you owned a Jaguar S-Type, please tell me about your experience and your opinion of this car. Thank you so much for your stories. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. New interesting stories are coming soon. Thank you so much, my friends, and see you next time.